They seem calm, collected, untouched. They sit across from you, shoulders relaxed, face unreadable, eyes steady, and you wonder, how can someone so quiet, so steady, carry so much distance? How can someone so close still feel so far? This is the paradox of the avoidant. This is the double life they live. Because what you see is never the whole story. What they show you is only half of their truth. On the surface, they look like they don't need anyone. Independent, self-sufficient, strong. They speak in measured tones. They laugh lightly. They say they're fine, always fine. But what they hide is the storm inside. Behind that calm exterior lives a nervous system that has been trained for war, trained to survive closeness, trained to escape tenderness, trained to mistrust love. They live in two worlds at once: the world they present and the world they bury. In the world they show you, they are capable, confident, even cold. But in the world they hide, they are terrified, they are watchful, they are always calculating the risk of you. It's not that they don't care, it's that they care too much, so much that it overwhelms them. But instead of saying this, they shut it down. Instead of showing it, they hide it. And so begins their double life. With you, they appear calm. Without you, they replay every word, every gesture, every moment. You think they don't notice. You think they don't care. But they notice everything. The way you leaned closer, the tone in your voice, the glance that lingered half a second too long. They store it all. They measure it all. They translate it into risk. Because for the avoidant, closeness feels like danger. Love feels like exposure. Intimacy feels like drowning. So what they show you is a mask of strength. While inside, they are running, running from the past, running from the wounds they never got to name, running from the tenderness they secretly crave. And yet, this is what confuses you. Because if they truly didn't care, they wouldn't replay your words. They wouldn't test your distance. They wouldn't struggle with missing you. In the dark of the night, what they hide from you is the longing they cannot kill, the ache they cannot silence, the need they cannot admit. So they live double, half in control, half in chaos, half in independence, half in longing. They want you close, but closeness terrifies them. They want your love, but love threatens their survival. They want safety, but safety feels like danger. This is the contradiction. They cannot explain, and so they don't. They keep you in the shallow end, while their heart hides in the deep. You get the version that smiles, that shrugs, that says, "I'm fine." But what you don't see is the version that lies awake at night, thinking of you, the version that watches your absence, like a wound that won't close, the version that feels your touch, long after you've gone. This is the secret life of the avoidant. Not heartless, not careless, but terrified, and hiding it so well that even you doubt if they ever cared at all, because they won't show you the tears. They won't show you the shaking hands. They won't show you the heart that beats faster when you lean too close. Instead, they show you control, and they hide the chaos. They show you strength, and they hide the fear. They show you distance, and they hide their longing. And this double life isn't about you. It's about them. It's about the child they once were, who learned that showing need was dangerous, that wanting love was humiliating, that being vulnerable was unsafe. That child grew up, but the rules never left. And now, as an adult, they live two lives: the life they let you see, and the one they can't admit. And you're caught between them, wondering which one is real: the calm, distant one in front of you, or the hidden, aching one in the dark. The truth is, they're both real, both alive, both fighting for dominance inside the same person. And this fight is what makes love with them so confusing, so maddening, so heartbreaking, because one part of them wants to reach, and the other part of them wants to run. One part of them misses you desperately, and the other part of them erases you quickly. One part of them dreams of closeness, and the other part fears it like death. And so, they live double. And you only see half the truth. You see the mask, but you don't see the war. The mask is calm, cool, unaffected, but the war inside is constant, endless, exhausting, because every time you get closer, their alarms wake up. Every time you reach deeper, their walls rise higher. And yet, they still want you, still need you, still ache for you. This is the contradiction they can't escape, the double life they are forced to live. On one side, they want connection. On the other, connection feels like danger. So they do both. They pull you close, then push you away. They touch you, then retreat. They say yes, then act no. And you're left dizzy, confused, wondering which version of them is real. The truth is, both are. Both exist inside them. Both are fighting for survival. Because the avoidant doesn't lie when they say they need space. And they don't lie when they act like they don't care. It's just that underneath, another story is unfolding. One they don't let you see. The story where closeness sets off alarms in their body. Where love feels like danger. Because love once betrayed them. The story where they need you deeply, but showing it feels like death, and so they live a double life. By day, they are composed. By night, they are restless. By day, they keep their distance. By night, they ache in silence. By day, they convince you they don't need much. By night, they quietly wonder why your absence hurts so much. This is not carelessness. It is survival. And that's what makes it so hard to see. Because the avoidant doesn't show survival in ways that make sense to you. They don't beg. They don't plead. They don't chase. They don't collapse in front of you. Instead, their survival looks like distance, silence, control. It looks like they don't need you. It looks like they've moved on. It looks like you never mattered. But appearances lie. And behind the calm face, they are counting every step. How close you came. How close they almost let you. How dangerous it felt. How much they wanted it. How much they hated themselves for wanting it. And in that counting, they build their second life. The one you can't see. The one you can only feel in fragments. A life where they long for touch, but punish themselves for craving it. A life where they miss you, but pretend they don't. A life where they want to call, but leave the phone in silence. And here's the cruelest part. They think this makes them safe. They think the mask is protection. They think hiding is survival. But what it really does is trap them. Because the more they hide, the more alone they feel. The more they distance, the more they crave, the more they silence, the louder the longing becomes. And yet, they cannot stop, because this is the only way they know, the only map their nervous system was given, the only script their childhood wrote for them. So they live two lives, and neither one brings peace. The life they show you protects them, but keeps them starved. The life they hide feeds them, but terrifies them. And between these two, they wander, never at rest, never at home, never free. You can feel it, that gap between their words and their eyes, that space between their touch and their body, that pause in their silence. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much and cannot let it out. So they live double. And you live in the half they let you see. But here's the truth. If you could see the other half, you'd never again believe the lie that they don't care. Because behind the cold mask, is a heart that never stopped beating for you. A heart that loves in secret, even if it fears love in daylight. And that is why the avoidant can never truly escape you. They live in halves, but you only see one. You see the version they crafted carefully, the version polished for survival, the version that never asks for too much, the version that doesn't make mistakes. This is their public face, the strong one, the untouchable one, the one who doesn't care. But behind that face, there's another self, fragile, hungry, fighting to breathe. And this is the self they never show you. Because the avoidant believes, if you saw that side, you'd leave, you'd laugh, you'd turn away. So they guard it, with walls, with silence, with distance. It's not that they want to deceive you. It's that they were taught. The truth of them is not welcome. As children, their needs went unanswered, their cries went unheard, their hearts went unheld. So they learned, to survive, you must hide. To be loved, you must be less. To stay safe, you must stay silent. And now, as adults, that lesson still rules them, even with you, even with someone who loves them, even with someone who would never leave. Because their nervous system doesn't recognize safety. It only recognizes patterns. And the pattern says, if you open, you will be hurt. If you show need, you will be abandoned. If you get close, you will lose everything. So they split. One life to present to the world, one life to bury inside. And yet, the hidden life leaks through. You see it in the way they flinch. When you offer too much kindness, you see it in the way they pull back. After a moment of closeness, you see it in the way they disappear, just when things were getting good. Because inside, the part of them they buried is still alive, still scared, still waiting for the blow that never comes. And here's the tragedy. They hide the most human part of themselves, the tenderness, the softness, the longing, the love. They show you their strength, but they hide their need. They show you control, but they hide their vulnerability. They show you distance, but they hide their devotion. This is the double life. On the surface, they look independent, but beneath, they are tied to you in ways they can't admit. On the surface, they look detached, but beneath, they are drowning in feelings they don't know how to hold. On the surface, they look like they don't miss you, but beneath, they miss you so much. They can't sleep. They can't eat. They can't breathe without fighting the weight of it. And so, they split. They compartmentalize. They convince themselves that hiding will save them. But the cost is heavy, because living two lives means never being whole, never resting, never knowing the peace of being fully seen. And you pay the cost too, because you only get half of them, half of the truth, half of the love, half of the story. You feel it, that something is missing, that they're holding back, that there's more they're not saying. You're right, there is. Behind their silence, there are words they're dying to say. Behind their distance, there is love they can't release. Behind their coldness, there is a warmth they can't risk showing. And this is the unbearable tension. They love in secret. They ache in silence. They stay hidden, while hoping to be found. It's why they can't fully let you go. It's why they circle back, again and again. It's why even when they disappear, a thread between you remains. Because the life they hide is the life where you matter most, the life where you are everything. But here's the hardest truth. Until they face that hidden self, they can't live fully in love. Until they allow themselves to be seen, they will always live double. And until they risk vulnerability, they will never taste the safety they crave. You can feel it, that tug, that ache, that unfinished story between you. Because what they show you is not the whole truth. The whole truth is this. They love more than they admit. They fear more than they confess. They hide more than you can imagine. And living double is not freedom. It is a prison where they smile in daylight and break in the dark, a prison where they look strong, but cry when no one can hear, a prison where they walk with others, but ache for you alone. This is the life of the avoidant, split, hidden, exhausted, and yet still waiting for the day someone will see both lives and love them anyway. They fear more than they confess. They hide more than you can imagine. And living double is not freedom. It is a prison where they smile in daylight and break in the dark, a prison where they look strong, but cry when no one can hear, a prison where they walk with others, but ache for you alone. This is the life of the avoidant, split, hidden, exhausted, and yet still waiting for the day someone will see both lives and love them anyway. On the surface, their life looks ordinary. They go to work. They laugh with friends. They post online. They text back, sometimes. But underneath, there's another story playing, one you never fully see, one they rarely admit to themselves. This is the double life, a life split between two truths, the one they show you and the one they hide. When they're with you, you see fragments. The avoidant smiles, but it's a practiced smile. They reach out, but only so far. They share pieces of their world, but never the whole picture. They let you in, just enough to keep you close, never enough to make them feel exposed. And you notice it, even if you can't name it. You feel the weight of something missing, a wall you can't touch, but one you can sense. Behind closed doors, their inner world tells a different story. They don't just hide emotions from you. They hide emotions from themselves. Because if they stop to feel the loneliness, the fear, the buried longing, they risk touching the very wounds they swore they'd never revisit. So they build a private shelter, a place where no one enters, not even you. In that private space, they replay old memories. They revisit past hurts. They ask silent questions they'll never voice aloud. Am I lovable? What happens if I let them in? What if love is just another word for loss? But instead of sharing these doubts, they carry them alone because secrecy feels safer than vulnerability. This is why you feel the split. The avoidant is not lying to you. They're not pretending in the way a deceiver pretends. They're surviving. They show you what feels safe. They hide what feels dangerous. Love, intimacy, trust. To you, they are invitations. To them, they are risks to be managed. And so they become two people at once. The one who can sit at dinner with you, laughing at your jokes, holding your hand, and the one who later retreats, silently pulling away, telling themselves, don't get too close. You start to see the cracks. They don't tell you where they go. When they disappear for hours, they avoid eye contact. When emotions surface, they brush off questions with, I'm fine, when you know they're not. These aren't random habits. They're survival strategies, ways to protect the hidden life they don't want you to see. Because here's the truth. The avoidant doesn't just fear you seeing their wounds. They fear you seeing their need, their longing, their deep, unspoken desire to be loved and held without condition. To show you that would feel like handing over the most dangerous weapon, a weapon that could break them if you chose not to stay. So instead, they bury it, and they show you the polished version. You fall in love with the part they allow you to see. But what you really crave is the part they keep hidden, the raw, unfiltered heart that only escapes in rare moments of slip, when their guard is down, when fatigue takes over, when tenderness accidentally slips out, in a gesture or a glance. Those moments feel electric. because they feel real. And you chase them, you wait for them, you hope they'll last. But to the avoidant, those moments feel dangerous, so they shut them down. This is the double life: the face they show, and the heart they hide, the public performance, and the private struggle, the warmth you taste briefly, and the cold retreat that follows. It's not malice, it's fear. Fear that if they reveal the truth, you'll see how fragile they are. Fear that if they expose their need, you'll use it against them. Fear that if they open their heart, they won't survive the pain of it breaking. But here's what no one tells you: this hidden life doesn't vanish. It grows heavier with time. The longer they hide, the more divided they become. The more they divide, the more distant they feel, until even they can't keep up with the mask they wear. The performance cracks. The silence feels unbearable. The loneliness creeps back in. And in that moment, they start to miss the very closeness they kept pushing away. To you, it feels unfair. Why build walls, only to ache behind them? Why pretend, only to suffer in silence? But to the avoidant, this double life feels like the only life. Because closeness feels like risk, distance feels like safety, and living in both at once, even if it tears them apart, feels like survival. This is the paradox of loving them. You are close, but not fully seen. You are loved, but not fully claimed. You are chosen, but always kept at arm's length. Because their heart lives in two places, one with you and one locked away. And until they learn that safety is not in hiding, but in opening, the double life continues. A life where you know part of them, but ache for the part they still don't believe is safe to share. The double life cannot last forever. At first, it feels manageable. Hide enough to stay safe. Show enough to keep connection. Keep one hand reaching out, while the other pulls back. It feels clever. It feels controlled. It feels like survival. But over time, the cracks begin to widen. Because a heart cannot stay divided forever, the avoidant begins to feel it first. In quiet moments, when the laughter fades, when the messages stop, when the night feels heavier than usual, they realize they are surrounded by people, but no one truly knows them, not even the one they claim to love. The loneliness grows sharper, not the loneliness of being alone, but the loneliness of being unseen. And it hurts. It hurts more than the closeness they tried to avoid. Here's the truth no one tells you: the avoidant does not escape pain by hiding. They only trade one kind of pain for another. They avoid the risk of rejection, but they inherit the ache of isolation. They avoid the fear of losing someone, but they inherit the emptiness of never being fully known. It's not freedom, it's a cage they built with their own hands. At some point, they start to notice that the life they hide feels heavier than the life they show. The mask takes effort, the distance takes energy, the secrecy takes its toll, and suddenly, what once felt like safety starts to feel like suffocation. This is where the double life breaks, not in one dramatic explosion, but in small, undeniable moments. A glance that lingers too long, a tear they can't swallow back, a silence they can't explain away. Moments where their hidden heart slips into the light. They may not tell you in words. They may never say, "I'm scared. I'm lonely. I need you." But you'll feel it in the way they reach for your hand. But don't pull away this time. In the way they sit in silence. But let the silence stretch without running. In the way their eyes soften, just for a moment, as if to say, "I want to trust you. I just don't know how." And this is the crossroads, the moment where hiding and surviving no longer feels enough. Because the human heart, no matter how armored, still longs to be met. still longs to be held, still longs to be known. And no double life can silence that forever. To you, it may look like hesitation, like mixed signals, like hot and cold, but to them, it is war. The war between two instincts. Keep hiding to stay safe, or risk opening to feel alive. The war between the mask they wear and the heart they've buried. The war between the life they show and the life they hide. And here's the paradox. They do not miss you less because they hide. They miss you more. They do not care less because they pull away. They care so much. It terrifies them. They do not feel safer because they pretend. They feel lonelier. Every wall they build only deepens the ache. Every retreat only sharpens the hunger. The double life was never about you. It was always about fear. But love, real love, does something fear cannot predict. It waits. It sees. It notices. It feels the double life, but refuses to believe that the mask is the whole story. Because behind every silence, there is a longing. Behind every retreat, there is a hope. Behind every wall, there is a heart that still beats. And sometimes, the avoidant finally realizes what they've been running from was never love. It was themselves. The part of them that aches to be held. The part of them that wants to be chosen. The part of them that dreams of intimacy, but fears it in the same breath. The part they've buried so deep, they almost forgot it was there. Until one day, it speaks louder than the fear. This is the truth of the double life. They don't live it because they want to. They live it because they don't yet know another way. And when they finally tire of surviving without living, of pretending without belonging, of hiding without healing, they start to realize safety was never in the walls. It was always in the opening. And maybe, just maybe, they'll take the risk. Not all at once, not perfectly, but slowly, unevenly, tenderly, piece by piece. They begin to let someone see them, not just the face they show, but the heart they hide. And that moment of courage is where healing begins. Because love is not found in the double life. Love is found in the whole life, the messy life, the vulnerable life, the life where they stop counting risks and start counting the cost of never being known, the life where they stop surviving and finally start living. And maybe you're listening now because you've been on the other side. You've felt the mask. You've seen the retreat. You've been left wondering what was real and what was hidden. This is your reminder. It was all real, even the parts they buried, even the parts they couldn't show you. The avoidance double life isn't proof they didn't care. It's proof they cared and didn't know how to survive it. So if you carry the ache of being shut out, remember, their silence was never about your worth. Their retreat was never about your value. It was about fear, a fear older than your love, a fear deeper than your bond. And though you couldn't always reach them, you mattered more than they could say. Because behind the mask, behind the walls, behind the double life, there was always a heart that longed for love, but didn't yet know how to believe it could stay. And maybe one day, they will. Until then, remember this. Their double life was never a reflection of how little they felt for you. It was always a reflection of how much they feared losing you. If this touched you, if you've lived through the push and pull, if you've loved someone who hides what you can already feel, you are not alone. Stay connected here. Share your story, because your voice might be the very reminder someone else needs tonight. That love doesn't fail just because fear gets loud, and healing doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with being seen.